Hi, I'm Jazz, and I'm an alcoholic, and I'm codependent. I work a 12-step program, and I seek health. I am a seeker and a traveler. It's very important for me to say that because it's true, and I remind myself, and I say that truth to myself every day, every meeting, and whenever I can, right? Because that's such a starting point for me, and I say it to my soul, and to remind myself how much I need recovery and everything that comes with it. I don't do very much on my own when it comes to my recovery. I stay connected, and the thing is that I have to ask for help. I have to have a higher power and a relationship with that higher power. And it's taken a lot of people to get me sober, and it's taken a lot of people to keep me sober. I don't do this program all by myself in my head with all my own thinking and all my own problems and all my own solutions. I have to reach out. I have to source a higher power, and my higher power can be someone that just knows more than me and another person in a program, and I also believe my higher power speaks to me through lots of things. It's not just one thing, it's many things. And since getting sober and becoming more and more aware over the years, I see and hear and feel that presence stronger, and I've become to know myself, and that really helps. So I'm not only am I asking for help, but I'm also helping myself, which I never could do before. It's taken time to develop my, flap my wings. I would not have the life I have today if I didn't start figuring out how to ask for help and get help. So I owe a lot of credit to just the people in my life and the programs that I've been able to be involved in. My higher power and me have a relationship, and I also have a relationship with myself that I never used to have. The relationship with myself, when I first heard that, I thought that was really funny, and I thought, how can you have a relationship with yourself? Like, what am I going to do? Go take myself out on dates? And to a degree, that's true, and I do that, but I did not listen to the voice that was inside of me. I didn't have systems set up that protected me in my heart, and I had no safety of self or trust. And it took real work to set up sort of, it took repetition for years to learn how to listen to that little voice inside of me. And I never used to do that before. And one thing that really helped is just figuring out what my feelings are doing and starting there. And I find this relationship with myself is very important for my relationship with God. Because if I don't know what's going on with me, and I don't know what I'm praying for, and I don't even know what's happening inside, then what am I asking for help with from my higher power? So I have to take time and to listen, and I don't always hear the messages right away. Sometimes things have to get quite chaotic before I can really see that, maybe this is not meant to be, maybe this shouldn't be this way, maybe this isn't the time, the person, the job. Like, sometimes things go all the way to a breaking point or a chaotic state until I really do sit there and sit with myself and go, is this really working? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing right now? And this seems like a lot of force to keep this thing going. And, and sometimes I can hear that quiet voice inside that I don't have to get to that point all the time. And when I'm in touch, I I can hear it and I can understand it, and then I can talk to my higher power about what the next step is. But just to be like, oh, hey, higher power, like, let's just have today be today and let me have it. I don't pray in that general of a way. I get very specific and nobody's going to know what's going on with me besides me the best. And even sometimes I don't know what's best for me. So I have to also reach out and discover what is the best for me. Like sometimes I got to experiment or try things out and get out there to learn what those things are. So that's a lot of effort and things that I have to do. And I think by taking those steps, taking action, then, I believe that my higher power is around me and supporting that. But I kind of was just doing a one-way praying with my higher power before I had a relationship with myself. And it took me another program or a course and a year of looking in to identify my feelings, because everything was coming out as rage and indifference and I don't care anymore, and very angry all the time. And I didn't have an energetic boundary like I do now. I don't always catch everything, but I'm a lot more aware of the gate of what's coming in and going and what I'm letting in and out. And that's been really beneficial just for keeping my safety intact, because that's up to me as well. Like the needs are, and also as a safety. When I pray with my higher power and situations happen or life happens, like I definitely ask for, green lights, guidance. When I really don't know what to do, sometimes my prayers are of surrender, where I just have to say, like, if you don't want this to be this way, I just need it shut down. Because I don't, sometimes I also have to admit that, like, I don't have the strength to stop something or to make something happen, or I'm going to need a little bit more help in this area. And I think, I'm grateful that I can do that, because I think it's higher power is such a struggle for people to wrap their head around. And I'm just sharing that it's such a huge tool and has added such an advantage to my life. I don't have to carry all the weight. And by letting my higher power carry some of that weight and letting people around me carry some of that weight, it's not all my fault all the time either. It's not all up to me. And I've had to really practice loosening up the grip a little and figuring out that trust. This one time, I came to a point where I had to move, and I just couldn't take where I was at anymore. And I was like, how am I going to move? Like, how am I going to front all this daycare stuff and move and damage deposit, single mom? And I was really, it just felt so impossible. So I kind of made a list in my head of what would be the first thing that I would need. And to get me out of this situation, and I needed to get that damage deposit. And I thought, well, if I need a damage deposit and there's no way to get it, and, this was like, live or die, like, find it to live then if I put that much importance on it, how could I get that done? And so they say a lot, like, be vulnerable, ask for help. And, I've learned over the years, like, people want to help. And so anyways, I go to my neighbor, and she's an older woman, and she's by herself, and she's a lovely lady. And I just felt really embarrassed to ask. But, I thought, well, I should just ask. And if she says no, she says no. But what if she says yes? Then maybe I am meant to do this. And, looking back, maybe I was just meant to do that to practice that getting out of my comfort zone. And I remember really cringing and uncomfortable to go and ask her. And I was too scared to ask my parents because they're already helping me so much. And I don't know. So I asked her, and she just says, like, no problem. So it's like my fear was so much bigger than what I was thinking it was going to be. Like, that's how much fear clouds my thinking or gets in the way of my life. And so she lent me this money, and I just was so grateful. And I said, I will pay you back. I'll pay you back, but I was like, I got the ticket. Like, now I can move forward, and maybe I can move out, and maybe this is the path. And then what I said to, when I was praying with my higher power again, this took a while. And, this is a slow build, and recovery for me takes a long time, and I'm in it for the long-term gain. And the next thing is, okay, I need a place. I wanted it to be near my parents because they're helping out with a lot of daycare and stuff. And so that was a requirement. And then so it had to be close. And I, for some reason, don't like stairs. So it had to be a rancher style place. I was so burnt out from basement suites. I was like, I am not doing another basement suite. I'm not. So, and then because I used to be a painter and did a lot of spray work, I really needed a attached garage. So now I kind of have this criteria, and I also needed, maybe I'm getting a bit more picky here, but I wanted a fireplace, and I wanted the inside to have where the kids could go around something. And that was important for me. And so now I have this whole, picture in mind, and I'm just surfing on the rental market, and, that's kind of a tall order in a way. So I'm searching and searching and searching, but I was like, well, it helped me sift through what was the ones that were good for me. Like, by having that criteria and having that idea of like what I really wanted or needed, it's just that, I will just wait until that comes. Like, that was my kind of next plan. Like, I didn't need it that week, but I was like, I knew that was going to help me the best, because if I wasn't near my parents, it would be so much more extra driving. They were so little. I didn't want to be in the house and deal with stairs and hauling, and, I needed it easy. The running around, having something to run around, like some kind of structure or whatever, was just because I'm a solo parent. I needed that extra place, that extra interior structure to be able to have them run around. And the other requirement was a bathtub too, and the garage. So yeah, anyways, I have all these things that I want, and so I'm looking through, and sure enough, I get this, I see this place, everything's there, everything that I prayed for was looking for. Like, my job was to like figure out what would help my life, and then give it to God and work with God on getting that. Hopefully that would show up for me. And, it did show up for me. But I recognized it like it was mine when I saw it. And when I saw this little place, it was about a block away, and it had one level, had a fireplace so my kids could run around inside. It had a shop attached to it, and it had a bathtub upstairs. It was just up a few stairs, and I was like, there it is. And so because I kind of felt like it was there for me, so I threw everything I had at that place, because I had the sign that was for me. And so now the rental market was extremely bad, and I had things against me, a single mom. I didn't really have an income. I had 2 little boys, so I'm not the ideal client. So I had to get really creative, but I was like, I'm going to throw everything I can at this. And so the next step is I looked into the rental. I was looking at the rental pictures, and I could figure out in town where it was. And so I started driving around my parents' place looking for this house, and I stumbled across it. And these 2 guys were outside working on their, like, the concrete. They were doing some concrete work near the front sidewalk or entrance to the house. And I just said, like, I'm really interested in your place. Like, I have to have it. I need it. And what's it going to take? I can come here. I can come here and give you my check tomorrow. And he said, well, we're not done, and we're still working on it. It's not for this time. And I said, that's no problem. But, like, I need this place. And basically said I would pay that damage deposit. And he kind of gave me a little tour of the inside, and it wasn't that nice, but it had all those things. I didn't care if it was nice, because I've taken a lot of crummy looking places and made them quite nice. So I knew my own ability in that sense. I thought, just get me the bones and I will dress it up and make that work. And that was just so great. And whenever me and my boys pass that house, like, they remember what a nice time it was with Mommy when we used to live there, and it was just me and them. And they always say, like, Mommy, I want to go back. So it's kind of cute, but that was such a memorable moment in my life that, it just really confirms how much, my higher power wants to work. Like, I just feel like when I am using my higher power, he wants me to call for him and ask for help and stay connected. And when I do that, it always works out better, and it makes my relationship with my higher power so much stronger. And, I've often used my higher power in many situations like that. And so, it's almost like by not using my higher power is almost a bit of self-defeat, because the help is there, and I'm choosing not to ask. I'm choosing not to connect. And that only hurts me, My higher power isn't getting hurt. It's just hurting me. So, my life, I don't want to be part of my own pain. Like, I will deal with the pain and use my systems, but I at least need to take myself out of the picture of doing anything that's gonna, that's going to throw myself under the bus. I can't be a part of that anymore. And I need to be conscious and aware and make sure and keep myself, in good situations. And I make mistakes often, but I get back up like most of the time. And, I might get down for a bit, but I have so many ways to get back up, and there's so much information out there to do that. Higher power. I could probably come up with another story. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just really grateful for that. And it's gotten me through a lot. I remember this one time I was looking for a place again, and I thought, my place that I had moved into was getting too small, and my work was picking up, and so I had to find another shop, but I knew it was just me. It was just me working on my business and raising my kids. So I said, well, Lord, I need a place that has a suite on top, and I need a bigger shop. And sure enough, I found a place, and maybe just with my, I went and tracked it down, and just with my eagerness to lock this place down, I got it. And, my higher power let me have that. And I had a suite up above a big shop. And so he pulls through for me. I say my list in my head of the things that I needed. Like, I was praying for a rancher style home, and a bathtub and a shop. And when that place popped up, sure enough, there's a huge bathtub in there. And I was a little bit worried because it was an apartment, but the whole apartment was on one level, which was really great. So we just had to get up the stairs, and then we were on this one level apartment, and that was so cool. So I had access to go and work and do bigger jobs because I was just upstairs. And that takes unity with my higher power. I don't trust that I would have had the best results just doing it all by myself. After that, so I'm going to leave it at that. But I hope that I can help someone reach their higher power a bit better just by that story. So thank you.